I hear a lot of people coming from different regions, right? So how many of you from outside of Bangalore here? Oh, wow, a lot of you guys. Okay, so where are you guys from? Delhi. Pune. Sorry. Bhopal. Oh, wow, wonderful. Anybody else from somewhere else? Oh, Bhubaneswar. Wonderful, wonderful. Indore. Wow. Sorry? Bilaspur. Wonderful. Anybody else? Delhi. Wow. Hyderabad. Welcome, welcome. Jaipur. Wonderful. Welcome. Udaipur. Wonderful. Sorry? Ludhiana. Mumbai. Wonderful, wonderful. Gurgaon. Wonderful, wonderful. I feel privileged. It's an honor for me to be standing in front of you guys and doing this workshop. I guarantee it's going to be worth the 2.5 hours of time which we spent. So I request you to be as involved as possible. Yeah, you guys can come in the front. People sitting in the back, find a seat in the front. As front as possible, you can. And once we settle down for a bit, all right. Quick introduction, which has already happened. So I'm a design professional. I have worked in the design industry for more than 15 years with some of the big names. And I have a couple of MS degrees, actually. One MS in psychology and another in electrical. Long story, why I did that and how I managed to do it. That's another difficult thing. So I have a startup as well. I am the co-founder and director of a company called My Chat Lesson. So we deliver learning content for high school students in the form of chat stories. It's a different concept. We have established that new vertical. There's nobody doing stuff like this. And I'm also the author of this book, Creating Your Life in 101 Steps. And while I was writing that book, I came across the Designing Your Life concept. I am a Stanford Lab Design Educator for university and a Designing Your Life certified coach. And my teaching credits, I love to teach. And I have taught different subjects, including life design, design thinking, user experience design, creativity, psychology, and these are some of the places where I've taught at. Okay, at IIT Delhi, I am Lucknow, I am Indore, Srishti. I've taught at places like Oracle. My clients include Aditya Birla, TCS, Tata Communications, and I've taught at conferences as well. Taught and spoken at conferences in Interact, India HCI. I don't know if you guys know about India HCI. It's happening in Mumbai next, so highly recommend you attend that as well. So this is about my, let's dive in, right? So let's start off with a case study. So anybody's been to the US? Anybody's been to the US? No? Yeah, right there. So somebody behind right there. So if you go to the US, right, so one distinct thing you'll notice is a lot of people are huge. Huge, literally huge. I mean, you wonder, right? I mean, what's wrong? I mean, so basically there is a pandemic in the US, right? If you look at the data, in some of the states, there are more than 35% of the people who are obese, who are clearly obese. Okay, and if you want to further analyze this, right? So you are like, these conditions lead to heart disease, diabetes, cancer, and these are among the leading causes of preventable and premature death, right? So, and it's costing US a lot. It's costing US $210 billion every year and more, right? So, and not just that, right? So we have multiple social and health consequences, such as anxiety and poor body image because of the Senate's leading to a lot of depression with people who have these kinds of issues, right? So if you are the US government, right, because this is an issue, so if you are the US government, so how would you analyze the issue, right? So let's look at that. So why do you think this problem exists? Why do you think this problem exists? Food industry, of course. Lifestyle, of course. The top two things which I have, the junk food and so when I was a student in the US, right, so I used to do hourly paid jobs, I used to work in restaurants, I used to work as a person who helps these disabled people, all of that. So for me, if I have to have a fulfilling lunch, so breakfast I used to eat cornflakes. If I have to eat fulfilling lunch, I used to go to McD's or Taco Bell, and I used to have either one burger. The burger used to cost me $1 at McDonald's. It was like a Happy Meal kind of a thing, $1, and I used to have a drink, $1. And it used to fill my stomach. It used to last until the evening, until I used to have some kind of snack. So then, of course, as a kid, I mean, you roam around, and so lifestyle-wise, it was okay. It wasn't too bad. But imagine, right? So you have all these people in the US who are around the poverty line. If they want to eat, right? Unlike India, right? Eating at McDonald's in the US is it's a necessity. It's not like you are eating out of, you're going there and having a family outing and it's a privileged thing and all of that. In US, it's a necessity. You eat these cheap food, which is junk food. Okay, and of course, the lifestyle in US, you have cars everywhere. Almost every basic human being has a car. They don't walk as much. And imagine eating 3 times a day almost, this junk food, and not moving around. So this is the main problem. Okay, so what could be the solution, right? If you are the US government, you would say, hey, let's ban junk food. No, that won't work. So what do you feed? What do you feed these people who are dependent on eating McDonald's or Burger Kings every single day of their life? Right? That won't work. So then you say, let's put a heavy tax for advertising and eating junk food. Yeah, you can, but if you put a heavy tax, that will reflect on people not getting this subsidized food, right? So they won't be able to eat. So that won't work. So make people aware that junk food is a problem. They know, right? I knew when I was a student, I knew that I'm eating junk food, but that's all I can afford. So there are places like Olive Garden, right? Olive Garden, they'll give you like salads and soups, and I've done that. And it costed me $8, $9 something. And it literally didn't fill my stomach. And it gave me a joy. This is a real instance. My lab mates took me along, let's have some healthy food, and I went, and I've never done it again. I've never had this healthy food for lunch. I mean, of course, I've had it, home food, all of that, but I've never gone ahead and had the soups and salads, and because it literally didn't fill my stomach, because towards the evening I was like all drained out of energy, and it just didn't work for me. And that costed me $8 or $9. That was quite a big amount, because I used to earn close to $5, $6 an hour. And imagine if I had to calculate, I have put more than an hour's worth of my earnings and eaten this, and it's not filled my stomach. So imagine the same thing, right, with these people who are living around the poverty line, and it's not filling their stomach. They're spending close to $10, it's not filling the stomach. So they'll come back and eat this, right? So it doesn't work. So you can build gyms as a US government, you can build gyms, you can build basketball courts, you can build that environment so that kids and people can, so that's working to some extent, right? So, but it's going to take a lot of effort. So the other thing you can do is you can encourage a healthy lifestyle, all of that, but it's still, I mean, it's clearly not working. So what I'm trying to say is every action which you are planning to take has a repercussion, right? Though your intent is good. So it has a repercussion. So these kinds of problems are what are known as wicked problems. Okay, so these wicked problems, example, the pandemic, right? Healthcare system in India, or even the education system in India, the traffic in Bangalore and other places. So if you are a government entity and you want to do some good things, right? So there is a repercussion. And sometimes it so happens that there are many interdependent factors, and they're often in flux, and there is no single solution to it. And this is the worst part, right? So a solution might lead to other problems which might sometimes be even more difficult to solve. Okay, so this happens. So this is what are called as a category of problems which are wicked problems. Okay, so now we want to contrast this with tame problems. Tame problems, an example is, you know how to make tea, right? You know to make tea for yourselves, your parents, at home and all of that. Now suddenly you have 13 people as visitors. You can do that, right? You can say, oh, I'll take a bigger bowl, I'll take more milk, more sugar, more tea. You can do it. It's like pretty straightforward. So that category of problems where you just need to change the logistics and calculations are tame problems. And contrast that with what you call as a wicked problem. So in wicked problems, there's a solution. That solution will lead to more problems, and you need to come up with more solutions, and the cycle goes on. Okay? So now this image is used for representation purposes only. I have a maid who's been working with us for more than 12 years now. So she has a daughter. She has a teenage daughter who's grown up, and she thought she's a single mom, by the way. So she thought that by getting the daughter married, all her problems in life will be solved. We all know, probably. I mean, I don't know how many of you are married here, but that doesn't happen. Doesn't happen, and especially she got her married as soon as the daughter turned 18. Okay, and she was literally waiting, 18 kab ho gayi 18, because she didn't want to face legal trouble. And as soon as she turned 18, she got her married to another equally immature, at least mentally, kind of person, and then the problems began. It began, and oh man, endless series of problems, because there are two immature adults who have been asked to begin their life together, right? So then you add a complication to the mix. The daughter becomes pregnant. And more problems, and more problems. So you understand, right? You understand what I'm trying to say. So you are trying to solve a problem, and then which leads to other problems, which leads to, sometimes that problem which arises out of this is more complicated to solve than what you had originally had. So again, this is, if you look at the wicked problem chart, so things like love, life, career wayfinding, work-life balance are all your wicked problems. Right? So there are different categories of problems at all, in themselves. And we try to solve them how? Like tame problems. Right? We apply the same formula. We think that, okay, this is work for this person, this is work for this person, this is what we want to do. No, it doesn't work. These are all wicked problems, and we need to understand that. So life design, what is life design? Is applying the innovation principles of design thinking to the wicked problems of life and careers. Okay? One big takeaway for you guys here is, if you understand wicked problems and how to differentiate them from tame problems, you are taking a big thing away from this workshop already. Okay? So this is what life design is, and I'll quickly dive into the origin story, right? How it began. So we all know, I mean, everybody's almost taught design thinking, I think. Yeah, you all know the double diamond. There's a problem space, there's a solution space. So you know about the D school, which was founded to teach design thinking to non-designers, all of that. And the life design framework is based on design thinking. And there are two people. So this is Dave Evans, who is an adjunct lecturer, and there's Bill Burnett. So one day, Bill Burnett was a program manager at Apple, and he took up a position of executive director at the Stanford D School. Then Dave Evans, he was teaching a course at Berkeley, how to find your vocation. And these two met for lunch one day, and they decided, okay, let's apply design thinking to solve this kinds of wicked problems in human lives. So they started a DYL course, Designing Your Life course at Stanford in 2008. Okay, long time back. And they even started the Life Design Lab at Stanford. And at this Life Design Lab, the Life Design framework, all of that, the methods, the philosophy, all of that have been developed and are continuously being refined over there. Okay, and this clicker. Okay, so they published this book, Designing Your Life, in 2016. If you can get hold of the book, nothing like it. And they have published another book in 2020 called Designing Your Work Life. This is mainly for career individuals and all of that, a lot of methods and frameworks for that. So these books, right, have literally started a movement, okay, and they have changed thousands of lives, including mine. I want to admit that right now. Okay, so, and you see those dots there, right? You see those dots in the US, in Europe, in like Japan side, in India you see a mark. So that's us. Where you see the mark in India, that's literally us, me, and there are a few other people who are life design educators from Stanford and who are literally trying to make a mark in India. So there are about 450 higher educational institutions across the globe who are offering life design programs. And if your university wants one and wants me to come, please, I'm there. So this is, so I'm a Stanford life design educator. I have been trained by Stanford to impart life design programs for universities. And I help students navigate their academic career and personal paths through credit courses, through workshops, and through one-on-one coaching. Okay, so this is one. And so the same people, right, they offer a Designing Your Life coaching certification as well. So this is for one-on-one coaching. That's a commercial thing. So I am also a Designing Your Life certified coach. And I mainly work with working professionals for this, help them facing burnout and if they're facing being stuck, by leveraging the Stanford's life design framework through customized one-on-one coaching. Okay, so this is about, So what's a well-designed life, right? You need to know, right, if you want to understand. So a well-designed life is about being coherent. Okay, so what is coherence? Coherence is when there is an alignment of who you are, what you believe, and what you do. Okay, for example, I was at Adobe. Okay, and I was a designer. I was a user experience designer at Adobe, and one day my manager comes to me. He's from a tech background. He's an IT manager, but he was my manager, nevertheless. So he comes to me and said, Junaid, why don't you learn coding? I'm like, I have abandoned that world like 15, 20 years back, and I got into psychology and all of that. So it was not coherent. It didn't feel coherent to me, right? So it just was like totally off the line. I'm like, okay, I could get into design program management, or I could become a project manager, or I could do something. But just the thought of getting back to coding, I have done it. I have done it in the past, but I have said, man, I'm not too excited about this. This is not what I want to do. That's how I got into psychology, HCI, human factors. That's how I got into design and user experience. So I told him, like, I'll think about it, but I've left that path a long time back. And it's not coherent to me. I don't see myself a part of who I am or who I want to become and all of that. Right? So life design is about, a well-designed life is about being in coherence with who you are and what you believe and what you do, literally. Okay? And why should you design your life? Right? So there's research on life design, and there are two people at Stanford who have done PhDs on the effectiveness of life design. Okay, so, and they have published, peer-reviewed journals, which are, like, all that, right? So it's been the topic of peer-reviewed journals and all of that. So research shows that individuals who have gone through the Design Your Life program have shown decreased levels of career anxiety and dysfunctional beliefs. Okay, so then the other part is the increased levels of career confidence, career self-efficacy, novel ideation, personal growth, initiative, career certainty, career insight, identity, and these are little complicated terms, but all that I'm saying is it's definitely beneficial. Okay, they've done two PhDs have researched on this. We don't need to do any more research, so it's definitely beneficial. Even the terms that you understand, if you get something out of it, it's going to be highly beneficial. So, and there's this quote, right? So if you don't design your own life, right, you're going to fall into someone else's plan, right? So you'll end up doing something which is not coherent for you, right? They'll have their goals and like what they want to do in life and all. You'll fall into their life because, okay, you are making money out of it or whatever, right? So that's not going to be coherent for you. And what have they planned specifically for you? They're planning for themselves, right? So what have they planned specifically for you? Not much, right? So this is, and importantly, why now, right? All these years we've been living, people have been making big careers, they're happy and whatever. But why now, right? So if you compare and contrast, right? Our world then, so in my time, literally, right? If you want to make your life, engineering, medicine, that's it. Have you heard of this from your parents? Right? Engineering, medicine. Otherwise, you are stupid. Literally, you are dumb, you are stupid, whatever. Right? So now there are so many options. The world is evolving, right? So it's especially for students, they have to make these critical decisions on their lives, careers, and future paths. And the pressure is compounded by the rapidly changing job market. We don't know. 3 years before, if somebody had told me, Junaid will be doing this workshop on life design in front of like 100 people, I'd be like, what are you talking about? I had not even heard of the term life design. Right? So we don't know where the market's gonna move and all of that, right? So then there are plenty of technological advancements. Nobody knew the COVID came and went, and it literally changed how we work and how we see the world and all of that, right? So we need a structured approach. We need tools. We need a framework. We need these methods to be able to help you figure out what next. Okay, I'm going to give you a brief intro in this 2.5 hours as much as possible. So, and yeah, the basic goal is to equip you guys with some of these tools to design a fulfilling and purposeful life and career and all that. So what is the approach you're going to take? Okay, so in Stanford, I don't know, I have visited Stanford, but I wasn't aware that there is a sign at Stanford. It says you are here. It is both literally and figuratively, because since the time you're born, right? So there was one path which you took to reach this point. And importantly, from this point onwards, there are multiple paths in your life, right? There are multiple. With every decision you take, you're literally creating your life. That's the point of my book. You're literally creating your life with every decision you take, every move you make, including every person you speak to. Right? You never know what leads to what. Right? So every conversation you have, every workshop you attend, all this. Okay, so you can have multiple lives within you. Right? So this is about what is the path? What is the path which you can, have you heard of the term living intentionally? Right? So we just flow. Otherwise we are just flowing. So how do you kind of live intentionally? Right? So what we can have is to get started. To get started, we cannot have this perfect map of the future. Right? We literally cannot, because we don't know where the world is heading to in a year down the line or 2 years down the line. We don't know what new things which are coming up in the market, right? So all we need is a general direction, right? This is what is coherent to me. This is where I want to head. And it's not about, okay, what my friend is doing, that's perfect for me. No, it's about what you are doing, what you want to do. Because everybody is different. Everybody needs, everybody's background, what they want to achieve in life. It's all different, right? So what is the general direction which you want to take? Okay, that's what life design is about. So big career decisions don't come with a map. All you need is a compass. Okay? It's in an unpredictable world, you can't make a master plan. That's what, you can't have a perfect plan. So you can only gauge whether you are in a meaningful path. Meaningful to you, not to your parents, not to your best friend, not to your uncles or aunties, no. It should be meaningful to you. And the right move is the one which brings you a step closer to living your core values. Okay? So that's, we need to focus on the direction, not on speed. A lot of people are in a big hurry, right? Okay, Nick, I want to become this manager, I want to become this, I want to be director, this, that. It's okay, I mean, we just need a direction. We'll get there. We just need a direction to go forward to. So what I invite you all to do is think of life as a design project, and I invite you to build your way forward. Okay? You guys must have seen this, right? It's the design squiggle. So in design, initially it looks very uncertain. Then as we go forward, right? As we go forward, we will get clarity. So trust the process. So there are a set of exercises we'll all do together. We'll just trust the process, and then hopefully by the end of it, it'll be like, aha. All right? With me so far? Couple of ground rules. I mean, please keep your phones on silent. And I mean, we'll be doing a lot of activity on the workbook. I mean, you all have books, I hope. Everybody's got the book. Anybody without a book, or anybody who doesn't have anything to write on. And yeah, do participate, right, as much as you can. Okay, so again, what we'll be doing is time boxing. We have time as a constraint. We have about 2 hours more. And we will do what we can in the given time frame. There'll be a timer, and there'll be music, all of that. So we'll do what we can, and we'll move on. Okay, so what we are going to do now is explore the problem space. Then we'll come to the solution space later on. Okay, problem space is us. Right, so this is the first activity which we are going to do. It's a life view and work view reflection. So this is what we need to start building our compass. Basically, it's about what gives life meaning, what makes your life worthwhile and valuable, how does your life relate to others, what is work, what do you do it, and all of that. Okay, so what we'll be doing is we need to build a compass. We need 2 things to get started, a life view and a work view. This is simply an idea of what do you think about life in general? Okay, and what do you think about work? What work means to you? Okay, for some work, it's a way to get money. For some people, it's something deeper, right? In terms of their careers and all that. So I'll come to that in a bit. But yeah, this is what is it about. So just take out your notebooks. You all have your notebooks ready. Try to answer these questions in the next 5 minutes as best as you can. So can we have the music? Okay. So just try to answer these questions. Just note down in your notebook, right? So why are we here? Why do you think we are here? We want your perspective on it. There's no right or wrong answers. That's the best part about life design. There are no right or wrong answers. It's not prescriptive, right? You know the difference? Prescriptive means I am like telling you this is the right answer. It's like a prophet sitting somewhere and saying you have to do this. No. Life design is not like that. It's about you. It's about the answers which you think about. Okay? So, timer and yeah, music. That's the main intent of this. What is your perspective on this? Your value system, why do you think you're living for, right? So again, it's time boxing. Otherwise, we could have taken a lot more time to think about it. So this is about your life view, right? Then the next thing we have is about your work view. So we can do this like in probably 3 minutes, right? We'll do 3 minutes. Okay, so why work, right? So we discuss about some people, why do some people want to work? It's just a vocation, or is it something which earns the money, or if they want to get their careers going? What does work for? Maybe your perspective of work. And the best part is you cannot, the answer with your immediate neighbor will be completely different, right? Why your person sitting next to you wants to work is completely different from why you want to work, right? What does money have to do with it, right? Can it be completely different, right? Why you want to earn money and why your friend wants to earn money are maybe two completely different answers. Of course, you can go back and think more about this, but I mean, as I said, we are doing a time boxing and we want to move on. So there are three things, right? There is a job. So job is what I used to do when I was in grad school. So I used to work at a restaurant. I used to clean tables. That was a job for me. It gave me $6 an hour, $5 an hour. I used to work at a store, $6 an hour. So that's a job. It gave me money, right? So for a lot of people, career is what you go to college for, and maybe this is you consciously think about, hey, I want to do this. Okay, then the next level of it is, it becomes a calling, it becomes a passion. So at any point of time, you reach a state where you don't feel that, okay, this is work, this is life, the border goes away, right? For me, this is life, right? I'm living my life, I'm doing life design. So that's gone away, the border goes away. The books I read, the people I talk to, the conversations I have, it literally is, I mean, enriching my own life that way, right? So once you understand this difference, right, you are at a next level altogether. So a lot of people just do a job and they earn money, and so that's what the previous generation used to do, right? So we are doing something more. At least we are attempting to do something more, right? You are trying to find a career path and all of that. And at the next level, it's the calling. So if it is matching, your career matches your calling, then nothing like it. Okay, so this is there an alignment, right, with your life and with your work, what you want to do in terms of money, in terms of what you think about, how you want to live your life? Just look at the answers which you've written, right? Is there an alignment? Does one inform the other or energize the other? Is there coherence there? Okay, so is what you're doing today consistent with your work view and your life view? Okay, so in the morning, Kaladar sir spoke about there are dark patterns. Are we creating dark patterns when at heart we are these honest and nice people and all of that? Are we doing something like that? So is it consistent with your work and life and all of that? Okay. So, again, what action might you take? If it is not consistent, what action might you take to make this consistent? Okay? To impact your own coherence. We spoke about coherence, right? So, you're all students here, I know, so it might not be making much difference, but yeah? So, just think about it. Just think about whether it's in alignment or not based on whatever information you've got now. Okay? So, moving forward. So this is a very important thing. It's your action plan. So now we say that, okay, what are the small actions which you're going to take? Okay, this is how we are going to plan our actions. So we are going to first write down what's your action. Okay, so you make a statement that I'm going to take this action. Okay, so for example, you want to build your fitness. I'm taking other example. You want to build your fitness. So what is the smallest action you can take? Right? You can say that, okay, I want to run every morning, or I want to walk every morning. So then that's your action, bigger action. Okay, then the next is, what is the first small step? you want to check if you have the shoes to walk. Okay, so that's the smallest first action tip. Then you say that, okay, I have a deadline, you set a community, or you can say that, okay, I'll find out who in my circle who walks. So for me, in my apartment, there are multiple people who go for walks. Okay, so my wife wanted to walk. So she's like, okay, do I know anybody who walks, so that I have a company, right? So that's where she found a community, a group of people who walk every day. And how do you want to reward yourself? Okay, you come out of a good session, you walk and come back, then you reward yourself by saying that, okay, I can relax for a bit, I can watch TV for a bit, whatever. That's how you, then whatever you learn from this ride, then you inform, then you say that, okay, is this informing my next step? Okay, then again, you take the next small step, then you say deadline, community reward. So in that action first small step, you realize that, okay, there's nobody who walks in my apartment at that time which I want to walk. So do I want to do it on my own, or do I want to recruit somebody who wants to walk at the same time? So that's how you plan this. So this is the designer's action plan template. Okay, so this is another thing which you have. So now let's dive into reframing. You guys have heard about reframing? Anybody? You've heard about reframing? Okay. So let's do a deep dive into that. So once you get reframing, right, it's literally a superpower. Okay, let's do a deep dive into this. Okay, so a lot of time is spent solving a problem without approaching and understanding the problem right. So once you understand the framework, okay, about how it's done and what can be done, how do we approach it right and all of that, it's going to save you a lot of time and effort and heartache. Okay, so let's get into reframing. Okay, so there is I read this quite a while back at one of the conferences or something. So it said, if you, as designers, right, if you lose all your skills, literally if you lose all your skills, you don't have any other skill. Okay, what is that one skill which you want to retain? Okay, which is the one skill which you choose to remain in your skills list? It's about the right problem. If you know how to identify what is the right problem and how do you approach and define and frame and reframe it right, you will lead to this is like literally the most and I have faced this multiple times. Okay, so for example, I was at when Satyam was there, I was with Satyam. And there used to be the RFPs. I don't know if you guys, you guys are students. RFPs are, it's a request for proposal. You get that request and then you submit your proposal, and then, so there were people in my organization who used to get these and they used to not read the RFP. And the RFP used to come to me and I used to read it and I say, hey, what have you guys done? This is not what the client wants. And he used to come to me, and I was like, man, how can they be so? So first step, right? First step is you understand what is the right problem, what is the thing which people want. So this is the whole thing is about the right problem. Okay, so we know the difference between the tame problem and a wicked problem. Okay, now let's build further on this. Okay, so generally what we do, we think everything is a tame problem. What we do is, we do hurried problem analysis, then we jump into action, then we realize that this is not the actual problem we need to solve, or this is not exactly what the client needs or whatever. Then we continue anyway, that because we are committed. Somebody proposed that, hey, let us do the RFP this way, let us put in this, let us do this free analysis, whatever. Okay, then at the end, the disaster strikes, the contract is not won, then this is blame bad execution or whatever. Right, so this is one approach which doesn't work. Okay, especially if it is a wicked problem. Okay, tame problems, yeah, this approach might work for most of the time because it's a simple changing the equation. Okay, so then the other method, right? So this is the analysis paralysis method. Believe it or not, this goes a lot in the industry. If you talk to industry people, they'll spend hours discussing. Literally hours together discussing, because one thing I've noticed in the industry is everybody wants to get heard. If you are calling someone in a meeting, it's almost like you're literally asking them to speak up. So everybody wants to speak. And if everybody starts speaking, right? Okay, somebody will counter it. Somebody's ego will be hurt. My God, this is like an endless cycle. It was literally tiring, okay? When I was there at some of the big organizations, I don't want to take specific names. This is literally tiring, okay? There's a lot of this analysis paralysis method which happens. And in the end, okay, let's do something. That's what you end up doing. I'm telling you out of practical experience, this happens quite a lot. And we don't want to do that. We don't want to do that, right? So we want to, there's this code, okay? If I, give me 6 hours to chop down a tree, I'll spend the first 4 sharpening it. Okay, so you understand the problem, especially if you have wicked problems, you understand the problem, right? And then you dive into the solution, right? So we know the double diamond, right? So I have taught design thinking quite a bit. I mean, if I just take an example of a 2-day workshop, right? So the entire day 1 and even almost 10 to 15% of day 2, I am just looking at the problem space. I'm trying to understand who our users are, what are they using. You know design thinking process, right? So you know all the thing about user interviews, all of that. So literally the entire 1 day we'll be diving into the problem, right? So we don't do the analysis paralysis, but we do it to an extent where we are informed enough of the problem and then we move forward. Okay, this is what we are going to do as well. So you guys have come across this slow elevator case study. If you have, keep it to yourself. We'll see if other people can figure out. So imagine you are the owner of a multi-story apartment building. Okay, and your tenants have been complaining. It has an old elevator and your tenants are complaining that it's very slow and all of that, and they threaten to cancel their leases. They say they're going to give bad reviews, nobody will come to your apartment to take rent and all of that. So imagine you are the owner, right? So how do you approach this problem? Okay, so now we get into this problem framing and reframing thing. So if we say that we are framing the problem as with the statement the elevator is slow. Okay, so generally, because how we have framed the problem, the solution space will be about, okay, let's speed up the elevator, let's change the algorithm. Let's say that, okay, if you have 2 lifts, 1 lift only will stop at even floors, the other lift will stop at odd floors and all of that. Okay, literally because of how we have framed the problem, this is the solution space which comes up. Okay, if you have seen this already, it's a very important thing that others also understand the basic of what a reframe is. Okay, now what we are doing is, we are reframing the problem from the human experience point of view. Right? That's what matters, right, at the end. It's the human experience. That's what you're all in experience design for. Right? So that's what matters in the end. So now you're reframing the problem from the experience point of view, and you're saying, actually, the wait is annoying. I don't mind the elevator slow or fast. The wait for me is annoying. Now what has happened is, this has opened up the solution space. Right? Now we can have different solutions to the problem. Right? Solutions which are probably far more effective than the original solutions which we came up with. Yeah? So the solutions could be, anybody wants to volunteer? Or because we have less time, I'll just try to move forward. So the solution space has opened up. Right? The solutions could be, okay, the number 1 solution is put some mirrors. Simple solution. Right? So usually, when do you feel the elevator is slow? Because when you're in a rush to get somewhere. So when you're in a rush to get somewhere, if you have that extra couple of seconds to, look at yourself and groom yourself, nothing like it. Right? So it's worked, and it saved the owner, saved you, the owner, hundreds and thousands in money, and all the heartache and all of that. Right? So you understand reframing. This is the simplest example of, of course there can be other examples, but this is the simplest way I probably can explain reframing to you. Okay? So further deep diving into reframing. So the way you frame a problem determines which solutions you can come up with. Okay? And by shifting the way you see the problem, that is by reframing it, you can sometimes find radically better solutions. Okay, it's about the reframe. So we can literally do a whole day of reframing, literally. Okay, because it's so important, so it's literally a superpower. Okay, and I highly recommend this book, What's Your Reframe? And I was trying to be, how do you say, a little miserly. I didn't want to buy the book, and I was trying to get an extract of the book from somewhere and trying to figure. But no, it never worked for me. I actually bought the book. It costed me $1,400 not dollars, rupees. But it was totally worth it. It's totally worth it. Okay, so anyway, so we can reframe anything, right? So let's see if we can reframe some business problem. One business problem is about attrition. You guys understand attrition? Attrition is, the rate of attrition is how many people are leaving the company. Right, so instead of asking, right, how do we reduce attrition? If we reframe it from the experience point of view and say, how might we help the organization improve employee experience and well-being so that their overall belonging and loyalty within the organization remains or stays high so that they don't leave the company. Right? Instead of asking this, how do we reduce attrition, which is a complex term, and we are focusing on the employee experience, which is opening up the solution space. Right? One big takeaway for you guys again, if you can reframe from the experience point of view, you can sometimes find these radically better solutions. Okay? So, there are other business problems which can be solved by reframing. For example, how can we lower the number of calls to technical support? Then instead of that, you can say, how can we keep our product from frustrating users? All of that. So there are plenty of examples which you can find about reframing in business context. Okay, so failures. Right? Can we reframe failures? I mean, you guys are still students. You probably haven't failed enough. I'm not talking about flunking in one subject or something, but I mean, for example, right, I didn't get into IIT or some other big institute. So what's a different way of looking at it, right? It's probably a growth opportunity, right? You can say that I could prepare harder for the next opportunity which comes up, right? And what is the insight which what's your key takeaway, right? The takeaway is, okay, I know I'm smart enough, but I need to put in the hard work. Right? If you're not willing to put in the hard work, you don't get it, right? So I crashed my father's bike. Yeah, it's a screw up. I should have driven more carefully. Right? So yeah, that's insight. I failed to be on time for most of my meetings or get-togethers. I know there are people. I try to be on time, but time management seems to be my weakness. Right? So the insight you can take away is, yeah, I have identified time management as an issue, and this is what I want to do and all of that. Okay? Any failures you want to reframe? You want to take 2 minutes of your time to think about it, or we'll move ahead. But you get the concept. How can you relook? How can you reframe failures? Okay, you get the concept, right? All with me? Am I going too fast? No? All good. Okay, moving on. Again, this is the designer's action plan. Whatever reframe or whatever insight you get out of it, you can put it into your action plan, and then you can figure out what are the next steps and all of that. Okay? Deep dive. Dysfunctional beliefs. They're limiting beliefs, assumptions which they don't help us get ahead in life. So for example, my mother used to say, Junaid, don't laugh too much. If you laugh too much, you'll cry. So I have literally stopped myself from laughing too much and enjoy. It's like a dysfunctional belief. Okay, this is a very simple example, but there are bigger dysfunctional beliefs which we live with. So everybody thinks there is a one perfect job for me. Is there? So I want you guys to rethink on that. So if you are saying that, okay, there's one perfect job for me, this belief can paralyze you, right? Paralyze individuals with the fear of making the wrong choice, preventing them from exploring multiple career paths. So a lot of decisions if you look at decision theory, right, you can do PhD in a decision theory and all of that. So I don't want to get deeper into that. But a lot of decisions you make are two-way doors. You can go in, of course you can come out. I mean, some decisions are even more difficult. For example, marriage. You walk in, it's very, very difficult to come out. But these kind of decisions, right, so you pick you do an internship, you get into design, you say that, okay, then there are different aspects of design. You can try things out. So you can say, I want to be a UX designer, okay, I want to be a user researcher, I want to be a program manager as a design program. So you can figure out. Okay, a lot of these decisions are not one-way doors. Okay, so it determines your career. So if you want to do this exercise, because of the interest of time, I'm just quickly. So there is a stat, I don't know if you guys know this. So I did undergrad in electrical engineering. Okay, so I'm still connected with my folks in undergrad, and there are hardly, out of a class of 70, there are hardly 6 or 8 people who are still doing anything related to electrical engineering. Everybody else has moved on. I've gone ahead and studied psychology. It's like completely different. So the statistics, people have done some research, and the statistics say only 25% of people stick to what they studied in their lives. Only 25% of the people. So 3/4 of all college grads don't end up in a career related to their majors. So I don't know, you're studying design. I don't know, right? I don't know where you'll be. So keep an open mind, right? Keep an open mind. Okay, so again, your hard work, sincerity, and network determines your career. Okay, so one of the things is I'm stuck. So the best way to, get out of this stuck thing is you can generate options. You guys know how to generate ideas. You've been taught, right? You've been taught, okay, ideation session, this, that. So apply that to your life. Right? You can ideate, you can generate options. Okay, you guys are literally never stuck. I do master classes on getting unstuck, where I walk people through all of this. So there are people who have attended that here, probably right there back. But yeah, so this is one thing. You can generate a lot of ideas. We do this a lot, right? Why did this shitty thing happen to me and all of that, right? So one possible reframe for this is, what is the lesson this is trying to teach me? So I literally do this a lot these days. So why did this happen? What is this trying to teach me? This event happened in my life. Why did this event happen? Okay, what is this trying to teach me? And there's a follow-up quote on this. It says, if you haven't learned that lesson when that event has happened, that event will continuously repeat itself for the rest of your life until you have learned that lesson. Okay, if you're stuck in the cycle of, why did this shitty thing happen to me, you'll be stuck there. Then if you start thinking, why did this thing happen to me? Or if you're able to reframe it, like a couple of months back, I tried to play badminton. Okay, I have been playing badminton for more than 20 years, close to 25 years now, on a regular basis. Almost Saina Nehwal literally used to play in the next court I used to play. So I don't play it as a professional. I'm not that good, but I play it at a certain level. Okay, a couple of months back, a shuttlecock came and hit my eye. The eye collapsed. It hit my eye directly. I thought my eye is gone. I couldn't actually see anything. Okay, now, how do I reframe it? How do I say, how do I stop saying, why did this shitty thing happen to me? Right, so now I'm thinking, okay, so one reframe for it is, at least I got hit when I was playing. A lot of people are doing nothing and sitting at home and they get sick. Right, I'm doing something in life. Right, so that's one. Then the second thing was, okay, after a few days, I was able to see. Now my vision is at 80% because there is still blurring and all of that. At least I'm able to see. So that's a reframe. right? So now if you look at this, right? I don't know how many of you have come across this book by Viktor Frankl, right? So he was in the Holocaust. He was a Jew who was incarcerated or whatever. So he's literally reframed his entire life, right? So what he's saying is, how can you, like every single thing, everything can be taken from a man, but one thing, the loss of human freedom, to choose one's attitude. No matter what situation you are in, what's your attitude? Right, so that is your response, right? So between stimulus and response, there's a space. In that space is our power to choose our response. How do you respond to a situation? Right, so highly recommended. He's literally reframed life. He literally reframed how you look at life. I mean, imagine this guy was in the concentration camp, and even during that, he's somehow found a way to look at it in a positive way. Right? So there's a quote by Sundar Pichai: "In life, do not react, always respond." Right? A lot of people react. A lot of people like, "Arey, maar dena, ye kar dena, wo kar dena." No, how do you respond? Right? You think for a moment. You think that, okay, what can I, as a mature individual, how can I respond to this event which is happening? How do I frame it? How do I reframe it? How do I address this challenge or the problem? Okay, that's how, not just with all your business challenges which you come across, it's about your life as well. Yeah? With me so far? All okay? Anybody's come across? No, all right. So, we all have heard about gravity, right? So what life design says is, in life design, if it's not actionable, it's not a problem. It's not even considered as a problem. Okay, it's a situation, it's a circumstance, it's a fact of life. Like gravity, it's not a problem that can be solved. Anytime you're arguing or fighting with reality, reality will win. You cannot fight with gravity. You cannot fight with a situation which is real in life. Reality, it's reality. Okay, so examples. Traffic congestion in Bangalore. I don't know how many days you are here in Bangalore, or are there any native Bangaloreans here? We know, right? Oh my God, do you want to fight it? No, you just organize your way around it. Simple as that. Right, so it's a fact of life. Okay, widespread corruption. It's widespread. So basically, it's not, the takeaway from here is it, how do you say, if you want to fight traffic congestion, okay, you can maybe think about design interventions and all of that. But is it relevant to what you want to do in life? You need to ask yourself that. Right, so now you say that, okay, I want to become a social reformer. I want to ease traffic congestion and make the life of hundreds and thousands of people better. If that is your goal, yeah, go ahead. But if your goal, or if what you want to do in life is something else, please treat this as a fact of life. It's a circumstance, it's a gravity problem. Once you identify whatever you're fighting as it's a gravity problem, then you'll save hundreds and thousands of hours of your life. There are people who probably will spend their entire lifetimes fighting gravity problems. It's one big takeaway for you guys from this. If you are able to identify some of the problems in your life which you're fighting day in and day out as gravity problems, and you categorize them that way as a fact of life which you don't want to fight, that's one big takeaway. Huge. You'll be literally saving hundreds and thousands of hours of your life. Yeah? So we'll do that quick exercise, right? So, okay, we spoke about traffic congestion and all of that. So which of your challenges, we'll do this quick exercise. Identify one problem. Okay, identify one problem in your life which you think and want to classify it as a gravity problem, okay, which you've been trying to fight, which after this you will say, boss, I'm making peace with you. I don't want to fight this anymore. I don't want to fight your whatever problem you are facing anymore, and this is it. Okay, just identify one of these problems and reframe, identify a new more actionable item to replace your old gravity problem. And what is the action which you want to take? So my grandmother is insisting that I get married before going to the US for my higher studies. It's a gravity problem. You can't change your grandmother's perspective. Yeah? So is there something? We'll give, 3 minutes. We don't need 3 minutes. Probably we'll take a minute. Just think, just note down at least. What's a gravity problem in your life? Sorry, I'm just standing there. I haven't moved around as much. But just think about one gravity problem, and it's literally gonna save hundreds of hours of your life. So the next set, okay, anchor problems. So anchor problems, what happens is we see only one solution. Okay, so for example, Kalada Bapu sir also mentioned about it. So your parents were of the view that only engineering or medicine are careers worth pursuing. Right now, how do you convince them about, hey, I want to do design? Okay, that's an anchor problem because your parent only saw that a career in engineering or medicine is worth pursuing. Okay, so how do you help your parents? So that's the thing, right? So how do you make it into a problem, which is a solution? How do you make it how can you come up with solutions which can you can look at alternate solutions? Okay, so we'll go through the example. So the core problem is probably for most of you design guys, your family expects you to pursue pursue a conventional career. This is an anchor problem because the belief that gaining family approval for an unconventional career path is a prerequisite for pursuing your passion. And the thing which you can do is you can start building a portfolio, you can get some internship, you can do those kinds of things to show your parents that, hey, don't worry guys, I know what I'm doing and I'm on the right path and whatever, right? So anybody still facing this problem?
You can also throw data on them.
Throw data, yeah.
Throw data on them in terms of how thousands and thousands of engineers are unemployed,
right,
or they have moved away,
Correct. Yesterday.
Yeah, as you mentioned that a lot of engineers who start with, and they don't work as engineers,
Yeah,
Very few of them work because maybe they have made a wrong career choice in the beginning,
Correct.
So
Yeah.
I think if you make them realize that, that could be a one step, Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Yesterday, literally, my son was mentioning that if you look at the data, the highest number of unemployed professionals are engineers right now. This
Data, how many millions of engineers pass out every year?
really
And where are they?
correct. So, and they don't, of course, they'll opt for other career paths and all of that, they move on. So this is a reframe and this is how you want to go about it. So, is there anything in your life? Is there anything in your life which you think is an anchor problem? Right? So, and how can you reframe and identify and describe a new actionable solution? And what are some of the things which you can do? The bias to action part. What are the actions which you can take for this, which you can respond to the reframe? Can you think of anything else? But you understand what's an anchor problem, right? You understand what's an anchor problem. You know that, okay, you will keep looking at only one solution. मुझे उससे ही शादी करना है. Okay, so we know, right? So, yeah, so we understand gravity problems, we understand anchor problems. Okay, moving on. So, you guys know what's a passion hypothesis? Okay, I'll come to that. Okay, this is a very common question, right? So even before we understand bade hona kya hai, people will start asking us, what do you would actually want to be when you grow up? We have no idea, yeah. So, do you actually, I mean, I don't remember what I wanted to be when I was 5 years, but do any of you guys remember what did you want to be when you're, just do the small exercise, no? Just take a couple of minutes and just write down what did you want to be when you were 5 years? What did you want to be when you were like 10 years, 15 years? I know most of you are designers now, but is there anything else you want to be? Or you want to do? So in my workshop, right, so I've done it at engineering schools. So somebody in the audience got up and said, "Sir, I wanted to study psychology, sir. My parents didn't allow me, sir." And she's like, literally, she's like down and all of that. But anybody want to share? You want to share? Mic. Is this on?
At the age of 5, I want to be an astronaut.
Astronaut.
Very basic, I believe. At the age of 10, I wanted to be in defense.
Defense, oh, okay.
And then 15th, I narrowed it down to an Air Force pilot.
Pilot, okay.
And coupled with 15, I had two choices. I wanted to be an Air Force pilot at one end, and the very different end was actually a teacher.
Teacher.
Like a lecturer, professor later on in my life. I have only hold on to one part of it, I believe, professor, lecturer. That is what I want to do because I believe life in general will lead me to giving more to people.
Okay. So right now you're a design student?
Yes, I am a design student, which is completely different from what I wanted to do.
Okay. Anything else you want to become? I mean, you said professor and all of that.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, professor, I would say.
All right. Thank you so much for sharing. Anybody else? Mm-hmm. Oh.
Yeah,
That is
it on?
Yeah.
My son wanted to become something at 5, 10, 15, and even now, whatever he's doing, you know.
Yeah, it's like all completely different.
It's all one.
It's all one. That's wonderful.
When he wanted to become a chef when he was 5 years, and then 10 years, and 15 years, and when in school you have this aptitude test to test out what you could become if you write down the answers to these questions. So he wrote down all the answers, and then he went to the teacher and asked, "What you think I should write so that I can become a chef?"
Oh, wow. That's wonderful.
And now he's a chef. And
wonderful.
And he will still want to become a chef, remain a chef. He's expanding now.
Oh, wonderful.
When he was 5 years, we have to change all the utensils in the kitchen so that he could safely cook.
Oh.
You know, so it was like we were with him all the time.
Yeah, wonderful. Sir.
And that is his passion, his work, and his
wonderful.
Everything. Yeah.
Right. Thank you so much for sharing. Yeah. So, that's what as you said, right? That's what the passion hypothesis actually says, right? It says that the key to occupational happiness is to first figure out what you're passionate about, right? And then find a job that matches this passion. Okay, so of course there are people like that, right? There are your son's example, there are your A.R. Rahman, then your not Steve Jobs, but who else? Oh God, what did I do? Yeah. Okay, so so there are multiple books, literally multiple books written on this. Okay, how do you find your passion? Find your passion, like how to find your passion purpose. All this. There are like multiple books which are written on this. Now there are people taking pictures, but anyway, so but can we do the small exercise? Can you name a person who you think is creative, intelligent, who has achieved something in life? And other criteria is you cannot say, okay, my aunt, because we don't know your aunt, right? So if you can tell me the names of people who you think have achieved something in life. Right? I mentioned A.R. Rahman already. Go ahead.
That's the first person I came to my mind right now. Do you know PewDiePie? He's a YouTuber, Felix Schellberg. Because I have seen him grow as a person as well, and when I was growing up. So when I think about creative, innovative, the way he changed YouTube and the culture in itself, and how he became the most prominent individual YouTuber. And you have to have the personality and the smarts for it to understand how to gauge and how to have like a good base, like a user base.
What's his name again?
PewDiePie. He's a very famous YouTuber.
I haven't heard of him, sorry. Okay, thanks for sharing, but anybody else? I mean, just scream out, it's okay. Sorry? Chris? No, not a word. Sorry, different generation probably. Who? Okay, all right. Okay.
Dan Norman.
Dan Norman, okay. So, all right, so I'll try to move forward with this. So, I've put in some like big names. All right, so anybody who you think does not belong here? Huh? Anybody you think? So we'll go with the smallest. Okay, they have been creating and innovating in their own space. All right, so a lot of people have an objection to Mahatma Gandhi, but I differ. So I put him there, so it's my list. So anyway, so let's take an example of Steve Jobs, right? So who we all think is a very passionate individual and who's done. But I don't know how many of you know his background, right? So if you don't, this is a good opportunity to know how he got to doing what he was doing, right? So he did not join a technology program. So when the tech revolution kind of was happening in the Silicon Valley and all of that, so he was not studying technology. He was not in a business program either. So he joined a liberal arts college to study Western history and dance, right? So he dabbled in Eastern mysticism. He dropped out of college. He slept on floors and that Hare Krishna ISKCON temple. We all used to go to ISKCON temple. That used to be one good meal for the week for us. I used to take like the entire, like all my roomies and go and all of that. So he sat in classes which did not give him credit. He talks about it in his like talk. I don't know if you guys have heard of his that address. I highly recommend you watch it. But anyway, he talks about it. He came to India for a spiritual journey which lasted several months. Then he began to train seriously at a Zen center. Not even like it's not remotely connected with technology. Okay. Then he found an opportunity to make money by assembling computers. And he recruited his friend Steve Wozniak to supply the order. This led to the birth of Apple computers. Right? There was nothing technology about Steve Jobs. Now, we all know Steve Jobs as a person who is a very passionate individual in technology, right? So what I'm trying to get the idea across is, there was no passion there. There was no passion. Now that exercise about what you were doing 5 years, so now one person was there, right? So there are 1 in like 100 or 1,000, but we don't find that kind of individuals, right? Often. So Apple wasn't born out of passion, but it was the result of a lucky break, a small-time scheme which unexpectedly took off. Okay, this is what happened. Okay, it's not about passion and all of that. So what life design says is many people operate under the dysfunctional belief that they need to find out what they're passionate about. Okay, this doesn't happen to a lot of people. Okay, so we hate this idea for one very good reason. Most people don't know their passion, especially in India, right? Especially in India. Because, I don't know, if you guys look back at your schooling and all of that, so how many days in your school did you have maths classes? Every single day. How many science classes? Every single day. How many arts classes? Maybe once a week. Who is dictating this? Who is saying that arts is not important? Right? Arts, which is connected to what we now know as design and all of that, right? Who is dictating this? Right? Especially because of that. I have a brother. Okay, I still remember one incident when he did this beautiful painting when he was in 3rd grade or the 4th grade, and I was in 6th or 7th. And he showed it to my grandpa, and the grandpa called me and said, "Look at him, and look at you, what are you doing in your life?" Right, so now after that, as he grew up, he tried to get into studies, he got an MBA, but still he completely forgot all his artistic talents which he had. Now we have options, but I'm talking about a generation or two ago, right? So especially because of that, most people don't know what their passion and all of that. And so most people do not have the one thing they're passionate about. In truth, most people are passionate about many different things, right? So I play badminton. I'm really passionate about it. I love to teach. I'm passionate about that. So I'm also a writer. I've written a couple of books. I'm passionate about it. So there are multiple things which I'm doing, right? So a lot of people ask me, how do you find the time to do all of this? Then I ask them about Game of Thrones, Breaking Bad. And I tell them, boss, I haven't seen any of those. That's it. So anyway, so this is what. So there is a counter to this, right? So what's the solution? What's the solution if you don't have a single thing which you are passionate about, which most people haven't? So if you want to love what you do, abandon the passion mindset and instead opt for the craftsman's mindset. Kaladhar sir mentioned something about the craftsman mindset, but this is in a different context. So, think about what can you offer the world, right? So become so good at something that the world cannot ignore you anymore. So a couple of months back, I attended a workshop. I paid for that on generative UI. Okay, now we know all what generative UI is and all of that. Generative AI, sorry. So this guy, the guy who took that workshop, he said from the past 8 months, all he was doing was learning more about generative AI. He left everything else. And for the past 8 months, and he was not even a techie. He was doing some marketing role. Okay, and for the past 8 months, all he did was dive deep into generative AI. And he was doing a workshop, and I'm paying for it. Okay, so passion is a side effect of mastery. So how do you achieve this mastery, right? It's about focus. So if you want to try this, right? So leave everything else for 6 months. Give yourself 6 months and see if you can pick up something which you can offer the world. Right? Become so good at that thing. Right? So, I mean, complete focus and hard work can put you 5 years ahead in life. Work on your fitness for 6 months. Imagine 6 months. What can 6 months do to you? If you work on a business for 6 months, right? Really work, really understand, attend all the workshops you can, get all the mentors you can. There are quite a few people who are willing to help, right? Get all the mentors, get all the support you can. 6 months, watch it change, right? Your life will change. One big takeaway again. Yeah? Just 6 months. Just give yourself 6 months. See where your life takes you. Okay? So again, the action plan, is there one thing? Is there one thing which you want to? I know you are all students, you have to complete your projects, all of that. And so I was attending this talk, and I think it was Ankur Wariku. I don't know if you've heard of Ankur Wariku. Yeah. So I was attending his talk. So somebody from the audience asked the question, hey, I'm an engineer, I don't want to be in this field, what do? I can't convince my parents and this and that. So what Ankur Wariku recommended was, figure out what you want to do. Try different things, right? Try, I mean, if you want to look at design, you want to look at different marketing, or you want to do this, try all of those until you finish engineering. Until the time you finish engineering, but okay, finish what you, don't be like, in India, that value is there. You are a degree holder, it holds some kind of value. Okay, people know once you do engineering, you'll be doing other things. People know that. But finish what you do and explore what you want to do for the rest of your life. Not maybe for the next phase of your life, at least. And then that is what I can advise you at this point of time, is what Ankur Wariku, which I also highly recommend. Right? Just figure out and do what you want to do for the next 6 months. Okay, so now we remember the double diamond, the problem space. We have been in the problem space all this while. Okay, we have tried to reframe and change some of the ways you're looking at life and approaches to problem solving and all of that, right? So now what we are going to do is getting into the solution space. Okay, it's about Odyssey journeys. Okay, so what you'll be doing is you will be prototyping. We all know prototype. I don't have to explain the word prototype. You will be prototyping 3 versions of your life. It's going to be fun. For a lot of people, it was life-changing, including me. So this is what we are going to do. What is the intent? You remember this. So each of us have multiple paths ahead of us. We can follow one path, but you can prototype your paths. You can see where a path can lead you. That's prototyping, right? This is how it could be. This is how the path can go. Right? So it's like that. So we want to ideate multiple variations of a journey to choose creatively and generatively. Don't overthink it. What we are doing is we are doing only designing for what's next, not for the rest of your life. Because it's too much. I mean, we don't know 2 years, 3 years down the line what's going to change. Right? So we are designing what's next. We're not designing the rest of our life. Okay, so don't get stuck. That is because if you're saying I'm going to design the rest, within this like 15 minutes which we get here, it's going to be too much pressure on you guys. So don't worry. Just generate these 3 options. Okay, there are multiple great lives within you. Okay, now we are just going to prototype 3. So now what you have to do is you have to document how your life would look in terms of now 6 months from now, 1 year from now, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years. I'll give you a template. Okay, so the first Odyssey journey. So suppose, I mean, you're all design students, right? So now how will your path look like? So you finish your course, you get into a design job, maybe 2 years, 3 years down the line. What are you doing? Okay, that's one path. That's one Odyssey journey. The second part, suppose this design thing doesn't exist anymore. Whatever path you are on, it's gone. There are no jobs, there's no career, there's nothing in that field. What would you be doing with your life? Right? Right, that's the second path. First path, whatever you're doing, you continue, you get a job, you do this, continue. Second path, what if it doesn't exist at all? What if the career path tomorrow just vanishes? It just goes out of the picture. That's the second path. Okay? The third thing is, so if you don't have to worry about money or your image or what other people think of you, what auntie will say, uncle will say, parents will, remove all these restrictions. Okay, remove all these restrictions. What would you do? So you plan for 6 months, 1 year, like 2 years, what? And how will you do this, right? So imagine from now, after the end of 5 years, okay? You are meeting a friend, a close friend, which you haven't. For some reason, you have lost contact with that friend. You're meeting that friend after 5 years. So what all will you tell her or him after 5 years? Okay? So in terms of what did you do, what happened first year, what happened second year. So that's how, think about it in those terms. Don't think about it like a dry, like writing ye hua, and all of that. Okay, so mark how you feel. So this is how you feel. Okay, in terms of, suppose you take the plan 1. Plan 1, you're studying to be a design student. Okay, you have the resources, right, to become a good designer, and you have maybe access to your alumni who can get you a job. In terms of resources, you have it. Then you say, okay, do you really like it? Think about it. Then you just mark that gauge. Okay? Then in terms of confidence, are you confident about this journey? Right? So I was teaching at an institute. So I was doing this live design. So No, I was teaching service design actually. So there was a student who came to me and said, "Sir, I just cannot get hold of Photoshop and Illustrator because in design, right? Without Photoshop and Illustrator, you're like, what are you doing as a designer?" So that is the concept. Maybe even now, until now, other tools are there, but at one point of time, that was the thing. So anyway, so he was not at all confident about becoming a good designer because he just didn't get Photoshop and Illustrator. So anyway, what is your level of confidence? And the fourth thing is about coherence. Does it make sense to you? Right? So if you're opting for the third Odyssey journey, that you want to become a actor in a movie, but is that coherent to you? Does it make sense? So you can come up with a wild third journey, but you should do something. You shouldn't be like, okay, I'll travel, or no, I'm not like putting down travel, right? So it's something, you should be doing something in life, right? So what is it that you'll do? You cannot say, I'll just leave, I'll see videos, I'll see. Kuch to karo yaar, zindagi mein, right? So what is that third plan? Okay, so this is the framework. So this is what I did at one point of time for my second Odyssey journey. For me, I did this around the time I was at Adobe. I was a user experience designer at Adobe. And I'm like, okay, what do I do with my alternate life? If the user experience design profession doesn't exist anymore, what do I do? So around that time, I had become, I got my certification, live design certification and all of that. I was like, man, I mean, I could do all of this. And it's so exciting. Right, so this is an example. Now with the time we have, because of time boxing, we cannot do, but at least do a first draft. Right, at least do a first draft. Okay, any questions? You guys know what to do. This is summary. 3 Odyssey journeys. Life 1, the story you tell today. The important word here is story. You're telling your story 5 years down the line to your friend who you haven't met for the previous 5 years. You're telling, hey, I did this, this is what happened with my life and my career and all that. Second is, what if the job 1 or whatever career path 1 is, it's not there at all. What would you do? And the third path is, you remove all these restrictions and say, what would I do if money or what people say or whatever, there are no constraints, and do something which I want to do something useful. Okay? 3 journeys. So this is like a template. Where is this? Third 3. This is just a template. Okay, you can talk about work and career, you can talk about health and body, money, finance, family, friends, your travel plans, all of that. You can add more. The only thing is, make it into as much detail as possible. Okay? So you understood the flow, right? We did the problem space, we are coming into the solution space. So this is your biggest takeaway from this. If you do it right, just give it a shot. You're here anyhow. Yeah? Oh, I cannot give 10 minutes for each. So I can, okay, 15 minutes for all the 3. Okay? 15 minutes for all the 3. Any questions? We'll start. Sorry? Third one is no restrictions. Remove all the restrictions. Okay, there's no, you don't have to worry about money or what your aunt says about you or nothing. Okay? So, journey 1, journey 2, journey 3. 15 minutes. Your time has started. This is the same template for all the 3. It's just that you need to understand story you tell today, job 1 was gone, and the third one is the wild card. Any questions? I'm here. Just raise your arm, I'll come to your table. Sit comfortably. You can move around if you want. Start with time up. So now any questions first of all? Any questions? I know there isn't time. Yeah, go ahead. It's okay. It's okay. We'll get there. We'll get there. So, yeah. So, what I was trying to say was, okay, 3 Odyssey journeys. So, any other question? Any other question on this? Okay. So this is not enough time. I know I'm a one-on-one coach as well. So literally people take weeks to get this done. But 5 minutes, it forces you to think. That's the advantage of time boxing. It is forcing you to think within that 5 minutes, and it's a focused thing. So at least you have come up with something. You have, from zero to any progress is progress. So you have done something. You know the framework. You know what you can do about it. Okay, so now how do you figure out which is the journey you want to go forward with and all of that, right? So for this, the next activity is, can you guys get in groups of 3? Groups of 3, 1, 2, there's 1, 4 here. Can you come and join them? Get into groups of 3. 3 people, groups of 3. Just separate yourself from the rest of the 3 people, groups of 3. So what we are going to do next is, this is what we are going to do. Yeah, this. So 3 people, get into groups of 3, just reorganize yourself. So what you're going to do is, each person narrates their journey. For example, one person in the group, right, narrates the first Odyssey journey for 30 seconds. Second Odyssey journey for 30 seconds. Third Odyssey journey for 30 seconds again. Okay, the others will take a note. So the feedback here will be, you guys will notice whether this guy is actually excited about his journey or not. Right, whether it is making sense, is it coherent, is it workable in the world, right? So that's what you guys, the people who are listening to these journeys, will be doing. Okay, clear with this? So each person gets half a minute. We are doing time boxing, can't help, sorry, but that's what we are doing. Any questions? Please get yourself into separate groups of 3. Because you'll be speaking out loud, right? So it'll be disturbing to the other group. So groups of 3, little separately. Okay. Groups of 3, groups of 3, groups of 3. Everybody. You're not critiquing them. You're not telling that, hey, your journey is bad. That's not you have to just give them feedback on, hey, was this exciting? This sounded exciting, or this is. So you're not judging the journey.
30 seconds for all 3 or
30 seconds for each journey. Okay. So, groups of 3, the group of 5 here. All separate yourself into 2. Just 2 separately. Okay. 3 of you fine? Yeah? Please join them. You want to, okay. Just join them separately. You're not even close to each other. Groups of 3, groups of 3. Groups of 3, you have groups of 3, groups of 3, 3, 2. Okay, if anybody, the 2 of you, okay, groups of 3, you get 45 seconds per journey then. Yeah, groups of 3, yeah, all right, okay. So, all right, so I don't know, we'll figure out the timing for this. But yeah, can we have some music, like slight music? So just take notes. The listeners will take note on, yeah. I know discussions are still going on. This can go on for the rest of the day, but I have to stop you guys here. I know these are very exciting discussions about your life. So I know you have the rest of the conference to do that. But yeah, just take a moment to reflect on your journeys, right? Just take a moment to reflect on your journeys. Just take a moment to reflect on your journey. That's the best part about life design, right? There are no right or wrong answers. It's all about you, right? It's all about you as an individual. Okay, what you have set out or want to set out to achieve. Okay? Okay, this is one, okay? Discussions, that group there, still discussing, all okay? I know, these are very exciting discussions. It's I have a very hard time stopping these discussions, but please, okay, we are time boxed, and I think it's almost lunchtime, but since we started late, I'll be taking 15-20 minutes of your time. So, okay, all good so far? So now, right, so what's your action plan again? What's your action plan? Now you like the journey, right? So, okay, hard time stopping these discussions. Okay. Or go and just stay there for a day. See what is happening. What time do they open? What's going on during the day? How are they getting customers? You figure out, right? You are looking at the real world, right? So that's how you prototype. Or you do an internship. You do a free internship. What's stopping you, right? So you say, no, I want to get into the fashion design industry. It's part of design. Try it out. See how it works. Have a conversation. Have those conversations. Take those small internships. Go. So in the book, actually, they talk about a person who just opened up this. One day, they decided to give up their full-time job and say, I want to open up a restaurant. They have no idea how to. They like the food. Okay, then you want to get into the, it's a complete change of profession, right? So then the advice is don't just jump into it. Take those small steps. Have those conversations. Look at how it works. Spend time for an entire day. So those are the things you do. And so another thing is about career capital. I don't know if you guys have heard of the term. For me, right, if I say I have got into life design, I'm doing life design workshops and I'm teaching life design at universities and all of that. So for me, if I had been an IT technical manager and I say now I'll do life design, there is no career capital which I have built up to get into life design. Because I have been working in design for the past whatever, plus I have an MS in psychology. So the career capital makes sense. That's built up for me. It's not like I'm jumping completely into two different directions, right? So that's another term which is the big takeaway is career capital. How do you build your career capital to get into something which you want to explore and build? Okay? So, yeah, these are these are conversations with people. You want to shadow people if you want to learn more about, because there are so many new professions, so many things which are changing. How do you get into those? How do you try it out? Because there are literally so many options these days, right? So how do you figure out what's best for you? All these are options. Internships, or instead of getting into a restaurant business right away, try catering. Try feeding 2 people for a while, right? So, yeah. So these are the next steps which you can plan. Okay. So this is, I'll give you, you can list down those ideas. Okay, I'm just trying to get through because the lunch I think is ready. So anyway, so now it makes sense. The whole journey which we have followed in the last 2.5 hours, right? So we did those. Anyway, so a quick recap. So we did. We started out with wicked problems, because once we identify what's a wicked problem, right? And how it is different from a tame problem. It's huge. It's huge. It's a life changer, right? So why should we design our life? The approach, we need to look at a direction rather than a perfect map of what we want to achieve. Okay, and we also need not try to achieve that speed as long as we have a direction ready. So we looked at the different approach which we follow for problem resolution. Jump into action method, that's good enough for tame problems, but not for wicked problems. The analysis paralysis method, that's also not recommended, which you will definitely find once you get into corporate. We looked at reframing, the elevator example. We looked at reframing failures and dysfunctional beliefs, right? So we also looked at reframing business problems, right? So we identified gravity and anchor problems, which are going to save hours of your life if you're fighting any of those, right? So then we looked at the passion hypothesis. So next time you hear somebody saying, hey, follow your passion, you will start, you'll have that smile on your face, right? You know, it's not for everybody, right? So then we looked at the craftsman's mindset and focus, right? 6 months of focus, what can it get you? And we looked at the Odyssey journeys, the Kaizen, and prototyping experiences, right? So this is what I have. If anybody want to speak about their one key takeaway, also, there's a feedback link. It's tinyurl/Junaid FB feedback. So if you guys can, when you get a chance, just open up your phones and give me feedback. But while we are doing that, one key takeaway. I'll go table by table because like one key takeaway for you guys. You have all the options. Yeah, one key takeaway.
I think personally what I would take as a takeaway from this would be to first understand yourself.
Right.
Because if you don't and understand what you want from your life, because if you don't, then you won't be able to do, you won't be able to move forward.
Exactly.
So that's the key here.
Okay. Anybody else wants to share? Move on. That table, or we can move it this way, that way, anyway. Okay.
So like basically for me it was in such a fast life, we should just take a moment, pause and think about what we really want and act on it.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you for sharing. Anybody else wants to? You want to speak?
Yeah. So one thing which I realized after this session was to, never stick to like one possibility. There's always, a lot of things you can explore, and we never have to stick to a, particular thing. So
Thanks for sharing. Thanks for sharing. You want to share anything, or you're okay? You want to share? Thank you.
Yeah, I think it's just about looking at life differently,
right,
on a very personal and probably professional level. And I think it's just, like I said, just revisiting, rethinking, reframing perspectives, life in general. And it was very philosophical, but I think these are questions that we all need to question once in a while.
Definitely.
So that we at least know what we're doing and we know why we are doing it in the first place.
Correct.
So I think it was a great overall different change in perspective.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for sharing. Anybody else wants to share? Sir, you want to share something?
I think one major takeaway from me is that take a small step.
Right.
You go ahead and take the small step. Instead of procrastinating it, which you think would be good for you, will make you happy.
Take a small step.
I think happiness is the most important thing for me.
Correct.
Whatever I do, I should be happy.
Correct. Yes.
And sometimes I'm happy because someone else is also happy.
Right.
That gives you more happiness.
Okay.
So just take that small step.
Small step. Thank you so much, sir. You want to share something?
I think we've learned a lot of these individual methods, and we would have learned it in different places maybe, but the idea of integrating 2 or more of them and then trying to form your action plan, I think that's a very good takeaway. Like idea of action plan and maybe taking incremental steps, maybe integrating the 2.
Action plan.
could lead to a newer change.
Okay. Thanks so much for sharing.
So for us, it's like self-introspection is the key to give
Speak up. Yeah.
Self-introspection is the key to give direction to self, and knowing why we're doing it in the first place is very essential for us to build as a person itself.
Correct. Thank you so much. Anybody else want to share? Well, okay. You want?
Okay, so personally for me, I relate with the Kaizen concept. So I want to implement Kaizen in my journey. And a key takeaway would be to not take this journey of life so idly and casually, to have a proper plan put in place so that, you know, it's effective for us in our journey. Yeah.
Thank you so much for sharing. Anybody else? You want to share?
Yeah, yes. So the thing that you told about passion, so I think, as you were saying, it's the biggest anchor problem. Yeah, like I guess, yeah, that's the true part, because in life we should not stop like at one thing. Like we should keep exploring and trying different things. Even if we find one thing that we are very passionate about, it's very important that we keep seeing like what others are doing, what different perspective we can do. Like if I am interested in something, in that manner how I can change and do stuff that I think in the entire life is all about exploring, experimenting and experimenting.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
What I take away from this majorly is that in the 5-year plan, in the 1-year plan, apart from your job, apart from how much you want to earn, how are your relations with your friends and family?
Correct.
What hobbies are you pursuing? All those also matter, because that is something that will make you you. Apart from a designer, what makes you is all the other things, how you live your life. So that is also very important in planning for your future.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for sharing. Meanwhile, if you guys can like give the feedback, it'll really help. It's at tinyurl.com/JunaidFB. So if you want to speak?
So one thing was tackling gravity problems.
Yeah,
because a lot of the times we are like entangled with it and we don't really identify it. But one of the biggest problems, even after identifying it, is that you can only get rid of gravity problems by reframing them positively. But you can, like, difficulty in reframing it positively can come if you are very emotionally connected to the gravity problem. So that is a big challenge that I think with age and maturity, people will figure out how to do. And so right now the best we can do is just identifying and keeping it there at the moment.
That's the biggest first step. I mean, you say that, okay, this is a gravity problem. I don't want to deal with it like how I've been dealing with it. I'm not spending those hours
we can't
fighting
solve it right away, even though we want to.
Correct. Thank you so much.
I think one of my key takeaway would be, so I always knew what I want to do, how I want to do, right? But the planning part was so good that I couldn't ever land on the execution part of it, right? Every time the execution part I was there, the consistency was never there. But I think I understand the techniques, things that I need in my life other than the planning to actually stand on the execution part of it, which either which is going to help the whole planning, right? Or else there's no point of planning things. So I think, I understood execution part. I understood what the whole reframing was about, and I need to reframe my whole planning too now.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for sharing. Anybody else? You have? No.
Again, I would say that to have multiple plans, that is backup plan also, and at the end you need to find the purpose of your life.
Right. Thank you for sharing. Purpose. Please.
I liked one of those sayings that the way you frame a problem determines the solutions that you come up with.
Reframing.
So when we're solving problems, we get stuck in one way that this should be done in a certain way.
Correct.
And that is where I usually get stuck. But then you need somebody else's perspective, I feel, to get out of that problem. I really liked the saying. It really stayed with me.
Thank you.
One thing that I learned was it's fine if one thing doesn't work for you. Like there are multiple other things, so like you cannot stuck in one cycle.
Correct.
Every lessons make it something new to teach.
So you can always generate options.
One thing if you lose, there is another always.
Yes. Ek bus jayegi, dusri aayegi. Please.
So the best for me, the highlight was when we were doing the life view questions and the work view questions, because those are the questions that we don't typically think about in our daily life. And they just are kept at the back of our mind, which makes us conscious at point. And like if we actually take out time to think about it, it'll be giving us a clear view of what we should have done from the beginning.
Correct.
And like the hesitations will like lessen, and the people would, the confidence will be there. Like of course it's life's supposed to be a learning for like people.
Definitely.
So for my answer was, the purpose of life is to learn, and the purpose of death is to educate.
Educate.
Because in life we learn a lot, and when death approaches, we are educated, and the people will know that in the life there's a lot to learn, and it'll educate you till the end of your time. Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much for sharing. Yes.
For me, the one key takeaway would be very simple. Reframing your problem statement solves half the problem.
Exactly.
The way you see a problem totally determines the way you approach a solution.
Exactly. Yeah.
So I think that was the major key takeaway for me.
Thank you so much for sharing.
It's not like no one has ever, thought about the question कि life में क्या करना है. And everyone has their own problems, but no one has ever uniquely explained. When you plan things, you get an answer for yourself ki why, you are having failures. And then reframing it in a different way can help you actually approach it.
Exactly.
So that's what my key takeaway was.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for sharing. Anybody else here? All good? Okay. Anybody else that side? Okay. Anybody else wants to share, or everybody's shared already? Anybody wants to share? Okay. All okay? Anybody wants to share? Any key takeaway?
I think giving yourself 6 months. Hello?
Yeah.
Giving yourself 6 months is a good statement, I felt. I think every now and then in life we feel stagnant somewhere, stuck somewhere. So, rather than feeling stuck, one should experiment and give 6 months.
Yeah.
And accepting gravity problems.
Gravity problems, yeah.
That is something, a good takeaway, because there will be something always stopping you.
Okay. Okay. All right, so anybody else wants to share anything, or all good? All okay? You want to share something, or all good? All good? Yeah, that's all. You want to share something? Yeah.
Key takeaway note for me is about reframing, actually.
Reframing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Super power. Once you figure out how to reframe, right, you can, literally apply to
Not
everybody.
all of our problems will be solved from that,
Exactly.
but some of our problems will be definitely being solved from that.
From reframing, yeah. Thank you so much. So, thank you so much, guys, for opting. You had choices, so thank you so much for opting for this workshop, and I hope it was of value to you. And please, through that link, please give me some feedback so that I can further improve and all of that. And I'm here if you have any questions, and we can meet over lunch. I'm here for the next couple of days. So please connect if you have any questions or any thoughts. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.